Hi everyone, in this tutorial we're going to create this low poly house together. Don't worry if you are new to Blender, I will guide you step by step and explain everything as clearly as possible. Alright, let's jump right into it. First select your cube, then switch to edit mode by either clicking here or pressing tab on your keyboard. Zoom in and rotate the view to the side. Let's add a horizontal loop cut. Place your cursor in the middle of the cube, then press Ctrl+R and right click to confirm. Then drag the loop cut upward and right click again to set it in place. Now add a vertical loop cut. Move your cursor to the top of the cube, then press Ctrl+R and right click twice to confirm. Now switch to edge selection mode. Then select the top edge and press 1 for front view, then press G followed by Z to move the edge along the Z axis. Drag it upward and leave it in place. Switch to face selection mode, then select the two top faces of the cube. Then press P and choose selection to separate them into a new object. These faces will now be a separate object. Now press tab to return to object mode, then select the original cube. Go to the object list, then right click its name and delete the old name and rename it to house. Select the new object, then rename it roof. Now select the roof and enter edit mode by pressing tab. Make sure you are in face selection mode. Select all the roof faces, then press E to extrude it and drag them upward slightly and leave it here. Press 7 to switch to the top view and enable X-ray mode. Then scale the roof along the Y axis. So to scale it, press S then Y and drag it inward until the roof aligns with the inner edges of the house. Then right click to confirm. Now turn off the X-ray mode. Then switch to edge selection mode. Then select the two sharp edges on the top. Press 1 for front view, then press G followed by Z to move the edges upward slightly, then right click to confirm. Press tab to return to object mode, then select the roof first and then hold shift and select the house to select both objects. So now let's scale along the Y axis. So press S then Y and drag outward to adjust the size, then right click to confirm. Next, scale along the X axis. So press S, then X and drag outward, then right click to confirm. Now the house should fit slightly inside the roof. So to scale it down, select the house, press 7 for top view and enable X-ray mode. Then scale the house along the Y axis. So press S, then Y and drag it inward slightly. Then right click to confirm. Now turn off the X-ray mode and check the front view to ensure it fits well. So let's save the project before moving on the next step. So go to files, then select save as, then choose a folder, then delete the current name and rename it to house 1. Now click save as. So it's saved and we are ready to proceed. Now select the roof and go to the object list and click the eye icon to hide it temporarily. Select the cube and go to edit mode, then zoom in slightly. Add 2 horizontal loop cuts by pressing Ctrl+R, then type 2 on your keyboard, then right click to confirm. Then press S and Z and scale the loop cuts upward. Right click to set them in place. Add 4 vertical loop cuts. So press Ctrl+R, then type 4 on your keyboard, then right click to confirm. Repeat the same process for the opposite side too. Now add 12 loop cuts to another side. Press Ctrl+R, then type 12 on your keyboard, then right click to confirm. Now select the 2 middle faces where the door will be and add a loop cut next to them. One on the left and one on the right. Add 3 loop cuts for the window. Press Ctrl+R, then type 3, then right click to confirm. Now switch to vertex selection mode. Then press 1 for front view and zoom in slightly. Then drag the vertex down slightly to align them. Select the bottom row of vertices, then press G and Z. Then move them up until they form a straight line. Hold Ctrl and deselect the bottom row of vertices. Repeat this process for the remaining vertices until all rows are straightened. Now switch to face selection mode. Select the 4 faces where the window will be. Then press X to delete them. Switch back to vertex selection mode. Then select the 2 top and 2 bottom corner vertices. Then press F to fill them. Then again press P and choose selection to separate the window area into a new object. Now go to object mode, then select the new plane for the window and rename it as window frame. While the window frame is selected, go to edit mode and switch to face selection mode. Then select the plane, press E, then Y to extrude it along the Y axis. Then drag it slightly and confirm. Now press A to select all faces, then press S to scale it slightly outward. And hide the roof to ensure the window frame does not overlap it. So if it's in a good position, hide the roof again. Now switch to wireframe mode and enable X-ray. Press 1 for front view and zoom in slightly. Drag the window frame downward to align it with the area where the window was deleted. Add 2 loop cuts. Press Ctrl R, then type 2. Then right click to confirm. Now press S, then X and drag it to fit the window frame along the X-axis. Add 2 more horizontal loop cuts. Press Ctrl R, then type 2. Right click to confirm, then press S, then Z and drag it to fit the top and bottom window lines. Now switch to face selection mode and select the middle face of the window and disable X-ray mode. Press P and choose selection to separate the middle face into a new object. Go to object mode and select the window frame. Right click, go to set origin and choose origin to geometry. Then select the new plane and do the same. Press S, then X to scale the pan along the X-axis. Drag it inward slightly. Now press G, then X to move it to one corner. Go to the modifier tab and add a mirror modifier. Use the picker tool to select the frame as the mirror object. Scale and adjust the window pan along the X-axis to align it properly with the mirrored frame. Go to edit mode and switch to vertex selection mode. Select the 2 front vertices of the window pan and move them along the X-axis to close any gaps. Return to object mode and select the window pan and rename it to window. Go to edit mode and switch to face selection mode. Select the face, press G, then move it slightly along the Y-axis. Check for any problems and switch between edit mode and object mode to ensure everything looks good. Return to edit mode and switch to vertex selection mode. Select the corner vertex, right click and choose snap vertices, then cursor to selected. Now go to object mode, right click and choose set origin and origin to cursor. Now press R, then Z and rotate the window to test its alignment. Check for gaps or unfilled areas in the frame. If gaps exist like this, then go back to edit mode and select 4 vertices at a time and press F to fill them. Select the top vertices, select another 2 and continue filling the gaps until complete. In edit mode, switch to face selection, then select the middle face and press X to delete it. Then return to object mode. Now unhide the roof to check if the window overlaps with it. If it does, rotate the window back slightly for proper alignment. Then press Alt R to reset the rotation. Then press R and Z, then enter -90 to rotate it sharply by 90 degrees. If there is a gap, move the window along the Y-axis to fix it. Press Alt R again to reset the rotation if needed. If a large gap remains in edit mode, turn off the mirror modifier temporarily to see the face. Select the face, turn the modifier back on and move it along the X-axis until the gap is closed. Check the object in object mode if everything looks good, then test the window by rotating it again. Now select the window frame, go to edit mode and select the face. Rotate the view to side view and press E then Y to extrude along the Y axis. Move it slightly to adjust the frame's depth. Now select the house and enter edit mode. Add a loop cut near the area for the window. Press Ctrl R, right click and drag it slightly downward. Switch to face selection mode, then select the 3 middle faces and press X to delete them. Repeat the same process for the opposite side. If loop cuts already exist, simply delete the faces. Go to object mode, select the window and hold shift to select the frame. Press Shift D to duplicate them. Move the duplicates along the X-axis to the new window area. Rotate the duplicate, press R, Z and enter 90 to rotate it by 90 degrees. Move it along the Y-axis to align with the new window area. Then adjust it downward along the Z-axis. Now switch to wireframe mode and enable X-ray. Then press 1 for front view and adjust the frame and window to fit the new window area on the house. Then press 3 for side view, then turn off X-ray, and if there are gaps on the bottom or sides, adjust the position and scale. Move the window slightly to the right along the Y-axis, so press S to scale it up and move it downward along the Z-axis. Now scale it along the Y-axis if needed to fit properly. Switch back to object mode and disable wireframe mode. Check for any remaining problems and make final adjustments. If everything looks good, leave the window as it is. Select the window and press Alt R to reset its rotation. If it's still rotated at -90 degrees, it's because the duplicated front window was initially rotated 90 degrees. Rotate it 90 degrees along the Z-axis to fit this. Select the window and go to edit mode. Select the face that's creating the gap and move it along the Y-axis until it's closed. Go back to object mode and rotate the window -90 degrees along the Z-axis to ensure it aligns properly. If you see another window inside, check the modifier and turn off the Y-axis option in the modifier to fix the issue. Once it's all good, press Alt R again and rotate it 90 degrees to check for any gaps. If there is still a small gap, go to edit mode and adjust the face slightly until it fits perfectly. Checking object mode, and if it still doesn't look like a window, undo the changes or click Ctrl+Z 3 times and leave it as it was. Select the window and press Shift then X to duplicate and move it along the X-axis. Rotate the duplicate to 180 degrees along the Z-axis. Switch to wireframe mode and move it into position in the middle. Adjust it until it fits properly. If any gaps remain, select the affected areas, scale them down and move them up until they fit perfectly. Select the new window and rename it to Window 2. Rename the corresponding frame to Window Frame 2. Repeat this process for the other window remaining them to Window 3 and Window Frame 3. Hide all objects except the house, then select the house and go to Edit mode. Zoom in slightly and select the faces where the door will be, then delete the selected faces. Switch to Edge Selection mode and hold Alt, then select the horizontal edge around the door area. Make sure all connected edges are selected. Press 1 for front view and move the selected edge down along the Z-axis until the gap matches the desired size. Switch to Face Selection mode and add a loop cut at the bottom of the door area. So press Ctrl R, right click and select the 4 faces of the door area and delete them. Select the faces next to the door area, hold Ctrl and select them in sequence to outline the door frame. Switch to side view, press E then Y and extrude the frame outward slightly. Now select the bottom faces of the door frame. Press E then Y to extrude them outward slightly. Add a loop cut near the bottom. Press Ctrl R then right click to confirm. Switch to Face Selection mode, select the bottom faces and extrude them again to form a small step. Now switch to Vertex Selection mode and select the 4 vertices on the outside corner of the door area. Press F to fit the selected vertex, then press P and choose Selection to make it a separate object. Go to Object mode, select the new object and rename it to Door. Select the door and go to Edit mode. Hide the house for better visibility. Add 2 vertical loop cuts, so press Ctrl R, then type 2, then right click to confirm. Then press S and X to scale them along the X-axis. Drag them slightly to adjust the spacing. Add 2 horizontal loop cuts. Press Ctrl R, then type 2. Scale them along the Z-axis by pressing S and Z, then adjust their position. Add 2 more loop cuts in the middle. Press Ctrl R, then type 2. Repeat the process for horizontal loop cuts and scale them down along the Z-axis. Now switch to face selection mode and select the faces as shown, avoiding the middle ones. Switch to side view and extrude the selected faces outward slightly. Select the smaller middle faces and extrude them outward a bit more than the previous one. Go to object mode and unhide the house. Go back to edit mode and switch to vertex selection mode. Select the bottom corner vertex, right click and choose snap vertex, then cursor to select. Return to object mode, right click the door and choose set origin, then origin to cursor. Rotate the door by pressing R. Check if it rotates properly around the origin. Inspect the corners of issues. If needed, switch to wireframe mode, make adjustments and return to object mode. Go to edit mode and select the middle vertex. Hold Ctrl to select each vertex in sequence, then press F to fill them. Switch to face selection mode and select the new faces. Extrude them along the x-axis to match the width of the middle faces. Now return to object mode and inspect for gaps. Select the house and enter edit mode. Hide the door for easier access. Select the three faces around the door area. Then add two loop cuts. So press Ctrl R, then confirm with right click. Deselect all edges except the two you will be working on. Select the top edge and the middle one for adjustments. For easier edge selection, switch to face selection mode and select the middle face. Extrude the selected face along the x-axis slightly to cover the gap. Now return to object mode and close the door by pressing Alt-R. Then check for gaps again and both open and closed. If the front face of the door seems too far out, select the door and go to edit mode. Then switch to face selection mode, select the front face and move them slightly back to align properly. Go to object mode and inspect the door from all sides. And hide all hidden objects, inspect them in the scene and turn off overlays to view only the objects. Turn the overlays back on when done. Now hide all objects except the house and enter edit mode. Switch to edge selection mode and enable wireframe. Select a vertical edge on the front side, then hold Ctrl to select the connected bottom edges. Then hold Shift and select the next vertical edge. Continue this process for all vertical edges on the front and back sides, avoiding edges on the door and frame. After selecting the vertical edges from both the front and back sides, press Ctrl B to bevel them. Then enter 0.003 for the bevel size and press enter. Now press E to extrude the bevel faces, then press S followed by Y to scale them along the Y axis. Drag them slightly inward to create a slit-like appearance. If the extrusion is too deep, scale it up slightly to ensure it just sits inside. Now go to the material tab. If there is no existing material, click new and assign a material to the house, which is default white. Click the plus icon to add a new material slot, then click assign to apply the black material. Rename it edge. set its base color to black. Now select the vertical edges on the remaining sides. Then press Ctrl B to bevel, then entering 0.03 again. Then extrude it, scale inward along the x-axis, then adjust as needed. Assign the black material to these edges as well. Now go to Object Mode, switch to Solid Shading and inspect the edges. They should look like slits with the assigned black color. Unhide the door and go to Edit Mode. Select the 4 middle edges of the door, but not the outer ones. Then press Ctrl B and enter 0.003 to bevel. Press E to extrude the edges, then press Y to move them slightly toward the back. Now adjust as needed. Go to the Material tab, click the plus icon and select the black material, which is the edge. Then click Assign to apply the material to the beveled edges. Now switch to Object Mode and enable Material Preview to check the black edges. Unhide all objects and inspect the house door from all angles. Turn off overlays to view the final result cleanly. Press Shift A, go to Mesh and select Plane. Scale it up to serve as the ground. Position it by moving it down slightly to align with the bottom of the house. Use front view and side view to ensure the plane aligns perfectly with the house. Center it along the y-axis if necessary. Now select the house and go to Edit Mode. Select the front face of the door frame. Press Shift D to duplicate them and move them upward along the z-axis. Then press P and choose Selection to separate the duplicated faces into a new object. Then go to Object Mode, right click, Set Origin, then Origin to Geometry. Now rotate the new object, press R then X and enter 90. Now go to Edit Mode, switch to Vertex Selection and select the middle two vertices. Press G then Z to move them upward. Select two side vertices and move them forward along the y-axis. Select the four corner vertices and scale them up along the x-axis. Press A to select all vertices. Switch to Face Selection and press E then Z to extrude upward. Switch back to Vertex Selection, enable X-ray mode and adjust the middle vertices by moving them downward along the Z-axis. Now turn off X-ray, adjust the corner vertices and scale them down along the X-axis to refine the shape. Now go to Object Mode and scale the top frame slightly along the X-axis if needed. Move it down along the Z-axis to align with the top of the door frame. Make any final adjustments to positions, scales or gaps if necessary. Don't forget to save your project. Now select the roof and go to Edit Mode. Press Ctrl R then type 5 to add 5 loop cuts and right click to confirm. Repeat this for the other sides. Add 4 vertical loop cuts, right click to confirm. Add individual loop cuts in specific areas and move them to balance the spacing. Ensure the space between loop cuts looks consistent but doesn't need to be exact. Switch to edge selection mode and select the top horizontal edges. Use Ctrl and Shift to select edges efficiently across all sides. Move the selected edges slightly upward along the Z-axis, then scale them up slightly along the X-axis. Adjust by moving them down and scaling further for proper proportions. Go to the Material tab and rename the material to Roof. Change the base color of the roof as desired. Switch to Material Preview to check the appearance. Select the window and remove its existing material using the minus icon. Add a new material, rename it Window and choose a desired color. Select the frame, remove the current material and assign it the same color as the window material. Repeat for all windows and frames. Ensure the roof material is selected for the door, not the edge or block material. Change its color as needed. In the Shading tab, add a noise texture and a color ramp. Connect the noise texture's color output to the color ramp's input, and the color ramp's output to the base color of the material. Use the sliders and color nodes on the color ramp to tweak the texture and colors. Repeat the process adding noise and color ramps for the house material. Adjust the sliders and colors to get the desired effect. Remember that the door shares the same material as the windows, so any changes will apply to both. Now add a cube, so shift A the mesh, then cube and scale it down. Move it to the roof, scale it up along the Z axis and position it at the back of the house. In edit mode, add loop cuts near the top and bottom. Scale the top faces upward to create a bevel effect. add a circle, so shift A, then mesh, then circle. Now extrude it along the Z axis and scale appropriately. Use grid fill to close the top and bottom. Now add a subdivision modifier, increase the viewport level to true and apply it. Use shade smooth for polished look. Assign materials for color and texture. Add a cylinder for the steam, scale it down and position it inside the pot. For the flower petals, start with a circle. Adjust the vertex to form a petal shape. Assign materials for the stem and petals. Assign a dark green material for the grass. Subdivide the plane multiple times and enable proportional editing to create an even terrain. Use sculpt mode to refine the ground, adding gentle slopes and bumps. Adjust material roughness and specular settings for a realistic look. Now select the camera, press Alt-R and Alt-G to reset its rotation and position. Move and rotate the camera to frame the house properly. Pan the camera to an empty object for easier adjustment. Now select the default light, change it to area light and position it in front of the house. Increase the power to 200 and adjust the size as needed. Duplicate the light and place it behind the house, and rotate it towards the house and increase the power. And another light for the landscape and adjust its size and position to illuminate the scene evenly. Now if you want, you can add a dynamic sky, but for me I will use a plain or an image of a sky. So if you want to use a dynamic sky, use the dynamic sky add-on to create a realistic sky. So in here you can add a dynamic sky and adjust the settings in the world property tab to customize the appearance. So for using an image of a sky, import an image as a plane for the sky, then go to files, import image as a plane. Now you can select your image, then drag it to here. Now position and scale the plane to cover the background behind the landscape. Now revisit materials for the house, roof, door and other objects, adjust colors, textures and effects as needed. Now go to File, Save and ensure your project is saved. Alright, that's it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Have a great day and see you in the next video. Bye.